everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Ryan Shahid. You can call me Ryan. I use he, him pronouns. And I would like to think of myself as a storyteller. I grew up in the Central Valley, California. I didn't start writing recreationally until I was in high school. My 9th grade English teacher sort of took me under the wing and introduced me to different competitions for young authors and poets. And from there I started experimenting with different creative mediums, short stories, sonnets, plays, and most recently spoken word poetry. And for the next couple minutes, I would like to sort of extrapolate some of the overarching motives for telling stories, why each of these functions are significant in and of themselves, and why storytelling is important to me. So the way I see it, there are 3 major reasons for telling stories. The first reason being evolution, or rather education. Since the beginning of human existence, stories have been passed down from generation to generation. Stories of trial, tribulation, and triumph. Stories that warn against contemporary evils. Stories that seek to provide information about questions to which we have no answers. And stories that try to identify some of the most important entities in this lifetime. And as a result of passing these stories down from generation to generation, we become more informed as a result and informed of other perspectives. And it leads us, therefore, to develop our own, which leads me to my next point. Another function of storytelling is that it really serves as a good forum for the exchange of ideas and viewpoints. And I think if we look at storytelling from this angle, we find that the perspective is oftentimes more important than the direct object in which we reference. I'd like to give an example. Like, let's imagine I was a cave dweller, and I lived in a cave, and I drew a bison on this cave wall. One possible interpretation is that Yan drew a bison, which is valid. I'm not refuting that. But I think a more accurate, a more inclusive approach is that Yan saw a bison, and he thought it looked like this. And thus we're keeping in mind the difference between truth and perspective, something that I think we tend to muddle very often today. And it's why we need to ask more questions. And lastly, we tell stories to connect and to tap into different parts of our identity. When we do this, everyone has their own story. Everyone has something that's near and dear to their heart. And when we express ourselves through story, we often find that we can transcend some of the confines of regular conversation to get right at the heart of who we are. You know, what makes us go, what ticks us off, why we think we're here to begin with in the first place. And when we do that, and when we ask these questions of ourselves, we find that the best answers, the best stories, often don't have a full-fledged answer to any of these questions. And that creates room for self-exploration. And self-exploration is this process in which one uncovers their truest self. And it's for many of us, it's the source of our internal struggles. For many of us, it's why we wake up in the morning. For me, when I write, I used to write, I should say, knowing I would find myself in the page. I have a hard time being open with other people and being more extroverted. So I find that I can create a character that's relatable to me and to other people possibly. My mother used to always tell me, when you're going through a hard time, picture someone else with a similar struggle. What advice would you give them? And so when I write, I express my innermost feelings. And I'm in this point, and I'm in this sort of headspace where I delve into and I cope with and digest everything that's happening around me. The good, the bad, and oftentimes the ugly. And while I can say that I haven't reached any formal conclusion about who I am, I can say that I've reached a better understanding of who I think I am, what I believe to be true, and why that is. So my piece of advice, tell stories. question yourselves and the world you live in. Share what's on your mind. Or tell us something you think we need to know. Something to survive, to live a more conscious life, or tell us something that's 100% unique to you.